In the last stream, we were working on upgrading our refined storage system in a couple of different ways. First of all, we added a few crafters. We have our first netherite crafter over here for general crafting recipes. We also have this guy, the rainbow furnace that we made in the last stream that is capable of smelting a stack of items incredibly quickly. We also automated that with yet another crafter. And on top of that, we also invested in this wireless crafting grid, allowing us to access all of the items in our refined storage system wirelessly from almost anywhere within our base. And what I want to work on in today's stream is I want to press forward and try and get to the end of the factory quest line. And most importantly, we want to try and complete this quest right here for the end portal frame, because if we can get the end portal frame, we can, of course, make the end portal, head through to the end, and defeat the end dragon, which is going to unlock the exploration questline for us and allow us to head through to the Twilight Forest, which in and of itself is going to do two things. If we can get through the Twilight Forest, we're going to unlock the ability to use FTB Ultimine. And on top of that, we can also get this lamp of cinders here, which is going to allow us to start working on things from RF Tools. Most of the mods, or should I say most of the blocks from RF Tools do require the RF Tools machine frame, which does require this lamp of cinders. I don't know how easy it is going to be for us to get multiple lamps of cinder to make multiple of these machine frames. Either way, the plan for today's stream, as I mentioned, is back up here. The first quest that we need to take care of is the crusher. Once we have a crusher, we can look at making an arc furnace. And then once we have that arc furnace, we can make the end stone required for the end portal frame. Between streams, I have done a little bit of work over in this room here. I've torn down the squeezer, the fermenter, and the refinery, because of course, now that we have the creative fluid tank, we no longer need that setup to make diesel. The diesel is just infinitely being given to us by the creative fluid tank here. My idea is to place the arc furnace directly in the middle of the room, and then if we wanted to, in the future, we could add another diesel generator to the right-hand side for even more power if the 4096 from our current diesel generator proves to not be enough to get us through to the late game. I've also dug out this area here. Previously, this was the zombie spawner that we were using for blood magic. Of course, now that we have the Well of Suffering, that zombie spawner is no longer necessary, and so we've just got a bit of extra room over in here. I think I might end up putting the crusher in here. This space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks wide and 3 blocks deep, which is kind of the perfect size for the crusher, which I believe is going to be required because in order to make the graphite electrodes here, we need hop graphite ingots, and hop graphite ingots are made by smelting hop graphite dust, which, before I even click, I think actually might require the squeezer. Yeah, it totally does. So we are going to have to rebuild the squeezer, at least temporarily, to get the hop graphite dust required for the graphite electrodes. But more importantly, the coke dust here is made by putting coal coke into the crusher. I've also torn down the blast furnace and the coke oven that were kind of haphazardly placed in the middle of the base here. We do have 48 coal coke, which I'm hoping is more than enough. It doesn't really matter too much if it's not. We could put down the coke oven again temporarily. But either way, let's see if we don't have what it takes to start making some of these multi-blocks. This is all of the stuff from the refinery, the squeezer, and the fermenter, which I think should give us almost everything for the coke oven. It looks like we're just missing some light engineering blocks, some hoppers, and some steel fences. Now, I do think it's probably going to be worth quickly teaching our system how to make the different types of engineering blocks, specifically the light engineering blocks in code, the heavy engineering blocks in code, and potentially even the redstone engineering block as well. All three of those are going to be super useful for us to have. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how easy it's going to be for us to fully automate these, because some of these components we don't currently have the means to automate. Plates, for example, are something that currently we don't yet have the means to automate. However, I am fairly certain that in today's stream, we are going to have to set up a metal press, simply because I believe you have to make graphite electrodes using it. Although, actually, I think the quest book here does say that arc furnaces need 3 graphite electrodes to operate. Use the blueprint to craft the electrode with durability. You can also enchant them. Now, the blueprint doesn't have a recipe, so normally the metal press recipe here gives you a graphite electrode that only has half durability, Whereas if you make the graphite electrode with the engineer's blueprint, you get a graphite electrode that has 100% integrity. It's got full durability. It's going to last longer. However, you can't craft the blueprint. But there is a recipe down here, or a quest down here, I should say, that says, place the cocoon on the ground and feed it emeralds until it won't accept any more. It will spawn a villager after some time. If you use an anvil as a workstation, it will make the villager sell blueprints for graphite electrodes at level 5. So, before I start with the immersive engineering stuff, what I might do real quick is I might look at making this Cocoon of Caprice from Britannia. It really doesn't seem too difficult for us to make. I don't know if we have a pumpkin around. We don't. We might have pumpkin seeds. Yeah, we do. We broke some grass a little bit in the last episode. I think that's probably where we got that from. And I do think it's almost certainly going to be fastest for us to just put the pumpkin seeds into this cloche here, like that. I did move this drawer, by the way, between streams. This was previously over here. Again, not that we really need this setup going forward. We might need like one garden cloche to keep us stocked up on hemp fiber so that we can continue to get string. But we definitely don't need 3 of them. The same is true over here as well. We definitely don't need 3 garden cloches working on sugar either if we're not using that sugar to produce biodiesel, so we could definitely look at diversifying that in the future. Of course, I am a bit of a fool here. This is currently not online because it does not have any power. Thankfully, we can rectify that, of course, using the Flux Networks mod. Just so long as we have 1 block of redstone, we can make a flux point. And if we whack that flux point over on top of the garden cloche here, like so, and just like before, if we select our network, that should start pulling power from this HV capacitor round and over into the garden cloche, which in turn should slowly but surely begin generating pumpkins for us. Once we have the 1 pumpkin, we can make this Cocoon of Caprice. Emerald-wise, we do have 15,000 emeralds, so we should be completely fine on that front. I am temporarily going to put a lot of this stuff back in over here. But what I was saying before, basically, if we are going to fully automate the engineering blocks, we're going to have to automate, I think, the metal press. So we're going to have to set a metal press up and then teach our system how to make plates using that metal press, which I really don't think should be too difficult for us, and it's probably something that we should look at doing sooner rather than later. It's going to make our lives a lot easier. I don't know why I clicked the X there, because we actually do need that exact recipe I just clicked away. There's a fell pumpkin, and there's a Cocoon of Caprice. So let's take some emeralds. We could probably do with fencing this guy in a little bit, I think. Because if we allow him to wander, he might walk away from his anvil. And we need to keep him by an anvil to make sure that we can purchase the electrodes that we're after. So let's go ahead and temporarily, we'll just like kind of lock him in over in this corner. So we'll throw down the anvil, even though I don't think that's necessarily needed just yet. And then we'll throw down the cocoon, and then we'll feed this thing as many emeralds as we can give it. It looks like 20 is the magic number there. I don't know if we're guaranteed to get a villager from this, or if it's just a random chance. It's not a huge deal if it's random, because we can make quite a few of these before we start running out of resources. It's really just a case of waiting for the garden cloche to produce even more pumpkins for us. But I think that we almost certainly should get a villager from this. And then ideally, with this being 1.16, that villager should transform into some kind of blacksmith, I think, once it's by the anvil. And then at that point, we do have to level the villager up to level 5. And so for that, we're almost certainly going to have to do a lot of trading with this villager. Again, thanks to the fact that we have 15,000 emeralds, it really shouldn't take too long for us to be able to level this guy up. While we wait for that, though, let's go ahead and grab the hoppers that are required for the crusher, because I think we have almost everything for that multi-block in particular. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we needed 9 hoppers. Again, this is one of those situations where we can do something like this, clicking code, and then if we quickly teach our system how to make regular old Minecraft chests, we do have Quark installed, and so we are going to have to do it like this, where we make the oak chest, not the regular Minecraft chest, but that's fine. They're both interchangeable, and at that point, we could just request the final 4 hoppers that we need, start and start. That really shouldn't take too long whatsoever. And then what is the final thing that we're missing here? We need 8 steel fence and 10 light engineering blocks. Okay, so steel fence is doable, and so are the light engineering blocks. However, I think one of the things... Oh, hello. Oh, you're so small. He's tiny. He's a baby villager. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think that we can accelerate the growth of the villager by pumping him full of just an obscene number of emeralds. No? Can you not accelerate the growth on these like you can with like baby chickens and stuff? Do I have to feed him just like regular food? Can I give him like fruit salad? Try seeds? There's no way, right? There's no way that wheat works either, I don't think. Alright, that's fine. Also, I don't think carrots are gonna work either, I'd be surprised. Yeah, no, he's not having it. He's not having any of it. That's alright. We can leave him here. He's gonna take, you know, a little while to fully develop, but that's fine. We can come back and train him to be a pro blacksmith later on in the stream. Back over here, we need the steel fence. So I was going to go on a bit of a detour here because, of course, we do have a creative fluid tank, and if we wanted to, of course, we can make really as many creative fluid tanks as we like. Again, we're just missing copper sheets there, but if we had the copper sheets, we could make another creative fluid tank by just placing a regular tank into our tier 5 altar. And one thing that that's going to allow us to do is essentially generate unlimited resources, because almost every ingot in the game has a molten form. For example, molten iron is a thing. And so if we get one bucket of molten iron, we can then use that bucket on our creative fluid tank to give us an infinite amount of molten iron, at which point we could then use something like our smeltery to pull out an infinite number of molten iron blocks. And so going forward, I do think it's probably going to be sensible at some point for us to just get a bunch of creative fluid tanks and just try to automate the production of basically all of the resources in the game that we're going to need, at least all of the main ingots that we're going to need to get some of the creative items down here, specifically some of the ones required for the singularities and also for the creative ingots, which are also called the ultimate ingots, these guys right here. For today's stream, though, we're going to need a lot of steel, and we're going to need a lot of electrum. Those are both ingots we're going to need a fair number of, and both ingots that are not super hard to get, but also not super easy to get, right? The reason why I've not replaced down the blast furnace is that going forward, we can use this method to get unlimited steel, and with electrum, it's not hard, but it would mean just waiting for all of our gold and silver to melt down in the smeltery and then pull it all out after the fact. So I think what we can do here, if we can get a bucket of molten steel, which I think should be very doable. I actually don't know if we have any steel in here. I don't think we do, but we can go ahead and put maybe like 7 ingots worth in the smeltery, because if I'm not mistaken, one bucket of molten steel is 6 and a bit ingots worth of liquid. So once those are melted down, which they will do just as soon as we actually make this work again, which we can do like this, because right now we've got no fluid in the seared tank, so the smeltery doesn't have any fuel to actually work. Thankfully, if we grab our wrench, we can disconnect this. We can set this to extract, and we can begin filling this up with blazing blood, which should slowly but surely start to kill all of the blazes in there, and should also hopefully begin to melt some of that steel. Once that is full, I am going to once again get rid of this. We'll also pick this up. Do we have a bucket? We totally do. Fantastic. And as soon as we have 7 ingots of molten steel, we can place down the bucket. We can pull the molten steel over the bucket, and that should give us 1 bucket of molten steel. At that point, if I'm not mistaken, I think what we should be able to do is kind of bypass the smeltery altogether. If we take this bucket and we place it into here, that gives us infinite molten steel. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think what you can do now is you can place down a basin, and then you can either use a faucet or a pipe to pull the molten steel directly out of the creative tank into here, in the process creating infinite blocks of steel. So if we wanted to, we could make, let's say, 3 more basins. We could place those basins down around like this. And then I believe the faster way of doing this is not with a, that's my bad, I didn't mean to do that. It's not with a faucet. It's actually with fluid pipes. So if you take a fluid pipe and if you do this, 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 and this, we can set all of these to extract. Like that. And then if we wanted to, we could also put, hoppers or item pipes underneath these casting basins here to extract all of the blocks of steel once they are done. And essentially here we have an infinite steelmaking contraption. And so in the long term, I think the plan really is going to be to get a bunch more of these creative fluid tanks because they're so easy for us to make. We can get like one every 6 minutes with our current tier 5 altar, and then use those to produce an infinite amount of all of these different resources. For today, though, we really, I think, are just going to need electrum and steel. So let's also go ahead and grab 1, 2, 3, 4 gold and 1, 2, 3, 4 silver. That should get us about 8 electrum worth in our smeltery, assuming none of that gold or silver gets combined with anything else to make like rose gold, which could happen because we do have quite a lot of junk in here. We just need to have more than 7 ingots worth of electrum, which we totally do. I am going to make a new bucket because I think it's going to be sensible for us to keep at least 1 bucket of each molten liquid so that at any point in time we can use it to get an infinite amount of that item from our creative fluid tank. So boom and boom. This guy is done. I actually don't know if you can change this kind of like midway through. If I do that, oh, it totally changes. Perfect. So we don't even have to reset this up. We can just take these out, and now we're making blocks of electrum. This is fantastic. So there is a ton more steel. I think we had about 100, and now we've just got like a few more stacks of it. We've got 250 with more electrum being produced in its place, which is also fantastic. And so really, I don't think making all of the engineering blocks for the arc furnace and the crusher is going to be that difficult at all. In fact, making the 10 steel fence now for the crusher should be super easy. We have an infinite amount of steel. There we go. And then in terms of the engineering blocks, we have 2 light engineering blocks in there. And then over here we have 6 more. So we are missing 2. However, in order to make these, we do require a lot more plates. And so I think we're going to do another detour within our detour here. But we're going to look, I think, at automating the metal press. So I think we can probably put the metal press maybe like here, or potentially here if we get rid of the garden cloches. The metal press, if we look in the engineer's manual here, is a fairly simple machine. I think it's under heavy machinery and metal press. We need 2 steel scaffolding, 1 redstone engineering block, 1 piston, 2 conveyor belts, and a heavy engineering block. We should have basically all of that. We've got the heavy engineering block. If we don't have a piston, I'm fairly certain we taught our system how to make them. We did indeed. In terms of steel scaffolding, we have 4. We just need 2. Conveyor belts, we don't have any. However, we might be able to do that. Yeah, we're just missing some leather. However, I do think that Isaac of the Past left some stuff in here. He totally did. Look at that. We have 4 leather ready to go from our blood magic system. So we can do this, and conveyor belts are done. And then at that point, we just need a redstone engineering block, which we can request, but that request is going to be denied because the system doesn't know how to make it. That is fine because we do have a redstone engineering block ready to go in here as well. So let's see here. This multi-block is 3 wide, like this. However, you kind of do need to have space on both sides for chests. So what I might do here then is we'll temporarily move our random watermelon drawer, which is really no longer necessary. We don't need the watermelon here. I think we will put it here. Maybe we'll put it like here, actually. If we do something like this with the redstone engineering block at the bottom, the conveyor belts go here and here. We want it going that way. Then we want to have our piston, which I think does have to be pointing downwards, but we should be able to rotate that using the engineer's hammer. Never mind. We might have to put that like directly up on up against the heavy engineering block. Like that. And then I believe we just right click on the piston. We totally do. Fantastic. And I think what we'll do here is we'll just kind of carve out a bit of space in the wall like that. That way we can have a system over here that feeds into the metal press, and then we can have like an import or even better, an ender chest on the end there that links to this ender chest so that when we request items, they get sent back around. I think that's going to be the best idea. That does mean we are going to have to run some cabling over to here. Right now, we've only got 5 cabling, and as per usual, this is one of those situations where I definitely think it's going to behoove us to invest in teaching our system how to make the cabling. I don't think our system knows how to make the regular link cabling, although maybe it does actually. Let me just try and request like a stack of this. Yeah, it doesn't know how to make regular link cable. I really thought we taught it how to make that, but I guess not. Never mind. So boom, encode, It does know how to make the regular network cable. Boom. And then if we once again request a stack, start and start, again, that really shouldn't take too long. Look at that. Almost instantaneously, we have 64 cable. And so basically all we're going to do here, we can also request a crafter, is we're going to place down a crafter, I think on a chest right here. So if I put a chest here, and if I put like an iron ingot in that chest, does that iron ingot get pulled out? It doesn't. Okay, so we are going to have to put a hopper there. That is actually fine. Do we have faster hoppers? No, we don't. That's also fine. I guess we don't even need a hopper, actually. I think an item cable might do the trick. For example, if we do this and this, and we set this guy to extract from the chest, and I put iron in up here, that iron should get pulled out. It's not being pulled out now. That might be for two reasons, actually. The first reason is that there is no power on that. And also, again, this is one of those situations where it's going to make our lives a heck of a lot easier if we just teach our system how to make these flux points and also these blocks of redstone here. So if we just drop all those in like that and then request a flux point, even though we already have one. Did I make a spare one? Oh no, I think we got one as a quest reward, actually. That's perfectly fine. So let's do something like this. Let's give this guy some power. And then the final piece of the puzzle here is to actually give this a press, because the metal press can make multiple different things depending on what press you give it. We want to give it the plate press, which is this one. I don't think we have one. We don't, but it should be fairly easy for us to make one in the engineer's workbench. We need the engineer's wire cutters, 3 steel plates, and the metal molds blueprint. The blueprint is fairly easy to make. It's 3 blue dye, 3 paper, and an iron plate. We can, of course, temporarily make plates using our engineer's hammer, like so. Unfortunately, you can't really automate that because the refined storage system doesn't like it when you try and automate with items that have durability. So if we tried to automate using the engineer's hammer, we could, for example, teach our system how to make the hammers and then teach it to use the hammer with plates. But I think then, as soon as it used the hammer once, it would not recognize that the hammer could be used again because it lost some durability. And then it would just make a new hammer and it'd keep making more and more hammers. And eventually your system would just be full of hammers that have been used once and then discarded, which is really not ideal. Either way, this is done. We can throw you in over there. Steel-wise, we have a ton. And once again, if we use our hammer here, we can make 3 steel plates. We should still have the cutters from before. We totally do. Boom, boom, and boom. So now we can place this in over here. That should, there we go, bring the iron out. It totally does. And there we go, we got an iron plate. So basically, all we need to do now is we need to get the crafter that we requested earlier, which, did I request a crafter earlier? I did request a crafter. The crafter has not been complete because the rainbow furnace here is not working. The reason for that is that between streams, I moved this guy, the wireless heat transmitter, and so this is currently linked to a heat transmitter that no longer exists. I think all I have to do here is do this, and then if I put that back in our rainbow furnace, there we go. That's going to bring everything back online, and that should get us our crafter nice and quickly. So if we put that crafter down over on this chest, we can put it down like that. Can I still open that? I can't, but that's fine. Actually, you know what? I'll put it down on the side just to be safe. Like that. That way we can always check in the chest if something is getting backed up. And then now we just need to run cabling from this crafter down and around to our pre-existing line of cable. So once this is connected up like that, we can then go ahead and grab another ender chest. And once again, we do want to make sure that we use blue dye for this. We want 1, 2, 3. And we also want to make sure that we have a diamond to lock that ender chest. So now if we put the ender chest here, we can do blue, 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 lock it with the diamond. And then now if we put like iron in here, that iron comes out, gets stamped into a plate form, and then heads through into here, and then is instantly pulled into the system. And there we have iron plates. And so now back over here, if we take the processing box, we have the ability to teach our system how to make basically all of the plates we're going to need, because we can just do this. By default, if you shift click a recipe in from the metal press, it is going to pull the metal press mold in as well. You want to make sure you untick this, or so just shift left click That will get rid of the press, because the press is actually not required. You don't want the system to think it has to send the press to the chest. It doesn't. We just want to teach it that if it sends an iron ingot to the chest near the metal plate, near the metal press, it will get an iron plate back, which is exactly true. And so if we place this in over here like that, now we can go ahead and request iron plates. Let's say 10 of them, start and start. That's going to send 10 iron ingots over. And one by one, those are going to get pressed, sent through back to the system, and we have automated the making of plates. Nice. So now, if we wanted to request, let's say, a stack of engineering blocks, we need to teach our system how to make sheet metal and iron mechanical components. The mechanical components are super easy. In code, they're just copper and sheets, and the sheet metal, again, super easy. It's just sheets in code. The heavy engineering blocks, what are those missing? Those are missing steel sheet metal and steel mechanical components, so the same thing. Again, really, the steel mechanical components, again, super easy, and the steel sheet metal also shouldn't be too difficult. We are going to want to teach our system how to make steel plates. Again, shift-click to get rid of that metal press mold. And then we want to drop most of the patterns in here, apart from the one for steel sheets that can go over in here. And so now, in terms of those 2 remaining light engineering blocks, we should just be able to go ahead and request them. Back over here, our villager is fully grown. And so now we can actually start trading with this guy. I don't need this many engineers' hammers. In fact, I'm probably just going to end up throwing these in the trash. But we should be able to use the large number of emeralds that we have to purchase more of this man's hammers and hopefully level him up. So he's currently novice. We do need to get him up to level 5. I forget the exact naming of all the levels, but if we can get this guy up to level 5, we should be able to purchase the rods from him. So he's now an apprentice. It's a shame that these don't stack. That would have made life a lot easier, although he is now out of those. That's fine. We should be able to start using some of the other sales here. So copper and aluminum. Copper we've got 1,600 of. Aluminum we have less of, so we'll go ahead temporarily empty our inventory out of some of this junk that we don't need to be carrying around with us, and then we can grab like a stack of copper and begin purchasing some emeralds back from this man. So this guy won't accept my copper because my copper is from Create, not from Immersive Engineering. I think it's entirely possible that what we could potentially do here, if we take our copper, put it into the crusher to get copper grit, we could then potentially take that copper grit from Immersive Engineering, smelt that in an arc furnace, and then maybe that will get us the copper that he wants. It's a long way of doing it, but given that we need to make the arc furnace anyway, we might just have to hold off, or at least wait until he has more hammers in store. Like this. It's going to take a lot of hammers to level him up from apprentice to higher. I think it's a lot easier to do with like recipes that you can shift click, so you can just purchase basically everything that he has all at once. But yeah, it might be worth us kind of switching over and trying to get this this arc furnace. So we'll come back to that guy in a bit. For now, let's see if we can't get some of these machines up and running. So in terms of the crusher, I think we should have basically everything. We need some steel scaffolding. We need 10 steel scaffolding. Right now, we do not have that. Again, this is one of those situations. Let's quickly do something like this. Let's also teach it how to make steel rods. And then let's go ahead and drop that in. And request. We got all of those. We should have the redstone engineering block. And if we don't, we can always just go ahead and request it. We're out of iron, really. We are out of iron. That is problematic. However, much like we've been doing with our steel and our electrum, we should be able to drop 7 iron into here and then use that to get infinite iron with our creative tank. So I've placed the iron bucket, the molten iron bucket, into the tank. I've also moved the tank up here so that we can do something like this and kind of just finalize the automation here, or at least the temporary automation, and we can set all of these to extract. And so now we actually do have automatic iron. Like, we're going to come back and this iron chest is going to just be full of blocks of iron, which is fantastic. There's also possibly a world in which we could maybe even automate this like creative fluid tank. Instead of making one creative fluid tank for every single recipe, it's possible, I think, that we could teach our system to send molten iron to the fluid tank. Like, because if I'm not mistaken, I'm kind of just throwing an idea out here, but I believe that the deployer from Create has the ability to right-click an item. So I think we could teach our system to send a given molten bucket to the deployer. The deployer could then right-click that onto the creative tank, changing the item that's being made. And then obviously once it's been changed, that's going to start making blocks of that item. So it's possible that we could just kind of teach our system how to make iron so it makes it when it's needed. But that would be excessively janky. The much neater solution is just to get more creative fluid tanks. Trying to set up a convoluted system where we have the refined storage system itself request ingots as and when they're needed is madness. Anyway, just an idea. I think that definitely is doable. But for now, let's get this freaking crusher down, shall we? So we'll grab the manual, and then we need to go to crusher, and we need to set up this multi-block right here. So we want to hit pause, and then pause again. And this is what we're after. Okay, this seems very doable. I think this is done. Fantastic. So the crusher inputs from the top and outputs from the bottom here. So what we might want to do, I do think, normally what you would do is you can just kind of drop items into the top of the crusher. For example, if I grab an iron ingot here, and also if we grab the flux point, aka if we request one, start and start, that should hopefully come together very quickly. We can place that down onto the power point, which is right there, not to be confused with the one by Microsoft. And then we'll go to GamingOnCaffeine's network. Fantastic. This now has power. So normally, you can take your item that needs to be crushed and you can drop it in like this. But I'm also fairly certain that if we wanted to, we could get a chest. We could place that chest down, let's say right about here, just to make it easily accessible. And then we could run cabling up and into this. Like, I think that will insert into the crusher, even though it looks a little janky. I'm going to disconnect that one, even though that might also connect potentially. But then if we do this, and we try and set the back there to extract, there we go, fantastic. Now, if I put iron in, that iron should be extracted, crushed, and then spat out of the front. Nice, it totally works, beautiful. So, going forward, if we wanted to, we could always put a crafter on the top of this, right? And then hook that crafter up to our cabling. We could even move the chest, right, and put it elsewhere. This is just a nice forward-facing chest so that if we need to manually put anything in, we can do that. Also, people in the Twitch chat continually berate me because I never think of barrels. Barrels are our saviors because barrels allow us to fix the walls, right? So we can get rid of that chest. I would like it back. We can place the barrel here, and then we can fill this back in, and now we can still open this, and we can still put things in if we want to manually crush stuff without having to actually go back there. We do, of course, have to temporarily redo the extraction, like that, but this totally works. And again, if we wanted to fully automate this, I don't necessarily think we do need to automate this, because I don't think, at least right now, there's anything that we need to automate with the crusher. But if we wanted to, we could put an ender chest on the front there and have it loop back around to our system. For now, we want to make the arc furnace over here. To do that, we need the graphite electrodes, right? And no matter which way you do this, the graphite electrodes do require hot graphite ingots. And the hot graphite ingots are going to be made using coke dust in the squeezer. And coke dust is just cold coke. So if we're going to make 3 graphite electrodes, that means that we're going to need 12 hot graphite ingots, which is 96 coke dust. So we're going to need 96 cold coke, which I don't think we have, unfortunately. We've got 48. That is fine. It just means we're going to have to temporarily reset up the old coke oven here and drop some coke and drop some coal into it. Again, we'll probably also have to set up the fluid trash can to get rid of any excess creosote. Again, really not a problem at this point in time. We are going to need a lot of creosote going forward because some of the late game quests do require a lot of treated wood. But, of course, we can just make a creative fluid tank and use that for unlimited creosote in the future. It's not something we're going to have to worry about. For now, we can do something like this. We can grab a few stacks of coal. We can drop those in like so. We can grab our fluid pipe. We can grab our fluid trash can, which we definitely had at one point. I don't know if I have placed that down somewhere else. I feel like I've seen it around. I have. It's called a liquid trash can, Isaac. That's why you're not seeing it. And then we can do this. We can set that to extract. And if we want to finish the automation, we can also put down a chest and do that. So slowly but surely, that's going to produce the excess coke that we need. Back over by our villager here, we can use our aluminum ingots by the looks of it, because these are from immersive engineering. And it really shouldn't matter, actually. I was worried about running out of aluminum, but of course, if we do get close to running out of aluminum, we can just make an infinite more with our fluid tank, right? So you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this. And he's sold out. Hopefully, he's going to go up from apprentice to a higher level. He actually went right through to almost past journeyman here. And so it looks like we're pretty close. We're going to get so many water wheel segments. It looks like he's pretty close to being the tier that we need him to be. I could definitely do with like a stack of ear deafeners if you wouldn't mind selling those to me. Do these stack? Almost certainly not, right? Yeah, no, that would have been too easy. Did he level up though? He totally did. Look at this. Boom. We have the Arc Furnace Electrodes blueprint. My friend, enjoy your box there and enjoy your life over in the corner. We should now be able to place this over in here. And as soon as we get 12 hot graphite ingots, we can begin making those electrodes. So we want to take all of our coal coke. We're going to place all of that coal coke into here. That's going to slowly but surely start getting crushed. For now, that thing is so loud. There we go. For now, I will put a chest down on the front here just so we don't spew the coke dust all over the place. And then we are going to have to reset up the squeezer, at least temporarily, to actually start to make those hot graphite ingots. So we've rebuilt the squeezer over here. This is ready to go. I've put another flux point on it. And we currently have 55 coke dust, but we need 96 in order to get all of the hot graphite ingots required to make all of the electrodes. So we're currently 41 short. And right now, this coke oven is making like one coal coke approximately per minute, maybe like 70 seconds-ish, maybe 75. So it's going to take like 40 minutes in order to get all of the remaining coal coke that we need with just the one coke oven. And so I think in the interest of making this significantly faster, we should attempt to harness the power of our refined storage system and harness the fact that we've got 3,000 clay here to hopefully build multiple more coke ovens to try and get all of the coal coke that we're going to need significantly faster. So if we go ahead and quickly teach our system how to make sandstone, we do have 32,000 sand as well, so this should be perfectly fine. And then right now it's going to take 40 minutes. If we make 10 coke ovens, it will take 4 minutes, which seems like a much more sensible time frame. That does also mean we're going to have to find a place to put 10 coke ovens. I might fill this room with coke ovens temporarily to try and make this happen quickly. If we want to get 10 coke ovens, that means that we need 270 coke brick, which we can totally do. All right, so not too long later, we now have 11 coke ovens. We have our original coke oven over in here, which is slowly but surely producing one block of coal coke. That takes forever. But over here, like I think this might be even slower. This feels like it's definitely taking more than 9 minutes to do one block of coal. Either way, over here we have 10 coke ovens all working on producing coal coke. While we wait for the remaining coal coke to come in here, we can begin taking this coal dust and running it through the squeezer here. It does use a fair bit of power, but we do have a lot. It uses almost 2,000. So you can see here that earlier when we were trying to run the squeezer, this was kind of the problem. The squeezer just uses so much power. But we do have 8 hot graphite dust there, which is fantastic. We can get another one from this, I believe. Yeah, and then we're one away from the next one after that. And then from there, all we have to do is we have to take that and just smelt it, right? So we can throw that over into our furnace. Boom. That's going to send those right round into the system. And then once we have those, we can head on into our engineer's workbench, and we can do this, and boom, we start getting the graphite electrodes. So we just need 3 more ingots worth, which sounds, which is easier said than done, I should say, because it takes a while. We need 8 coal coke per hot graphite dust. an 8-coal coke takes a little while, especially in just one coke oven. The good news is that there is a quest reward here that gives us some coke dust. We did get the maximum amount as well. We got 4, which is fantastic. That's going to allow us to get at least 1 more of these ingots here. If we do this, that should get us another ingot. So we're only 2 away now, which is also very nice indeed. Over here, we do have even more, so we can do this. That's going to put us 1 away. And so we're actually pretty close here. If we check over here, we got 2 more. That's going to take us to... And I think that's actually going to do it, actually. That should be 1 and 2. Over here, that's going to get us 1 more hop graphite dust. That 1 more hop graphite dust should get us 3 more hop graphite ingots. If we go and smelt those over in here, that's going to import into the system. So hop graphite ingots, we take those, place them in here, and boom, we have our 3rd electrode. Finally, that took a little bit of time, but it is done. And as a reward, we get 3 unbreaking 3 enchantment books. These are super useful because we can use these to enchant the electrodes to allow them to last longer. Or normally you can, at least. Can I not? Normally you can do this and it just enchants. Not quite sure why that's not working. We'll try, see if we can fix that. But in the meantime, basically now all we need to do is tear down all of these coke ovens, which might take a little while because we've got so many of them. And then we need to start building the arc furnace in the center of this room. I have temporarily swapped out the creative fluid tank once again. Now it's making blocks of hepatizen. That allows us to repair our hammer here, which I've used to quickly tear down all of the coke brick here. So now we're going to go back finally to arc furnace. We're going to hit pause and we're going to see if we can make this. I think this should be very doable, and we're just going to build it right in the center of the room here. Okay, I think this is the arc furnace multi-block. If I right-click with the hammer on the front, it works. Perfect. All right, let's once again request yet another flux point. We might actually... I was going to say maybe need more than 1 flux point here because the arc furnace does have multiple input plugs on the back. There's 3 here. 1 will go for now, and that's going to start pulling like the full 4,000 redstone flux per tick out of our flux point. It's going to be sending like as much as it can to fill this guy up. Thankfully, it is full. We can put in the graphite electrodes in the top here, like so. Again, for whatever reason, I can't enchant these. I'll try one more time with the unbreaking. But for whatever reason, that doesn't seem to be working. It's possible that maybe once we start using them, maybe then we can enchant them. I don't know. But either way, I think now the next quest here wants us to make endstone. If we're going to make 12 end portal frame, that means that we need 24 endstone, and 1 endstone is made from 1 sand. So we just need 24 sand. The previous quest here does give us between 16 and 32. And because of our cosmic bad luck, we are 1 sand shy. That is completely fine. Let's go ahead and put all of those in there. And then slowly but surely, that should be smelted down into endstone. I think if I do this, I think it's going to go faster, but it's going to use so much more power. Look at that. That's because each piece of sand here is using 512 redstone flux per tick. And so it's taking quite a lot. That does mean that we could probably do like 8 without like really throttling it. Maybe 7, because obviously some of our base is using power, so we're not able to send the full amount directly to the arc furnace. And there we go, 24 endstone. Do we have, if we're going to make the portal frame, the question is, do we have 12 Eyes of Ender? We have, again, it's comically shy, but we're one short. That is fine. Do we have what it takes to make it? We totally do. Perfect. Boom and boom. And there we go, chat. We have the end portal frame. We also get 64 arrows of harming with instant damage too as a reward there. And I think for now, I'll probably go ahead and just throw this down right at the bottom of the world here. So if we grab our hammer, we can dig out a slightly wider space down here to place down this end portal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. As the book says, you do need to place those down from like inside the portal there. And then now we just need 12 more Eyes of Ender, which we definitely should be able to do. Whether or not we have all of the blaze powders to do that. Oh, we totally do. We made so many blaze rods earlier today. That is completely fine. So let's get a bunch of blaze rods. Let's get some more Eyes of Ender. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then if we place all of those into our portal frame here, we should get the end portal. Nice. So now the question is, are we ready to fight the end dragon? I don't necessarily think we are. I think what we should do here is definitely get a new set of diamond armor. And by diamond armor, I mean netherite armor, because we should have enough for that. We can't make a chest plate, unfortunately. Some people in the YouTube comments did suggest moving the jetpack here to my curio slot. Unfortunately, I don't think that's doable. You'll notice that the wireless crafting grid says slot curio on it, as does the backpack. It says slot curio. The jetpack doesn't say that, and there's no, like I'm clicking here, there's no slot that you can put the jetpack into. Like even if I remove the backpack and try to put it on the back slot, it just doesn't work. So unfortunately, that's not something we can take off. So we either have to, we have to choose whether or not we're going to wear a jetpack or wear a chest plate. And I think, especially for the end dragon fight, the jetpack is going to be so much easier. We do have, let's see, ancient. We do have 195 ancient debris here. And so we should, I think, very easily be able to get quite a bit of netherite. And again, this is probably one of those situations where we should teach our system how to craft the netherite ingots and also how to craft the netherite scrap. We can put one pattern in under the rainbow furnace like this, and we can put the other one in like that. And then from there, if we're going to make a netherite helmet, it's just one netherite ingot per piece of armor. So really, we just need 3 netherite ingots. And so let's go ahead and request 3 of those. Start and start. We do also need to make sure that we have a smithing table, which is incredibly easy for us to make. We'll place that down maybe over here next to our Tinker's Anvil for the time being. And then let's grab that netherite. Let's place in each one of these one at a time. Boom, boom, and boom. And I think for now, without going through the entirety of Britannia, this might be some of the best armor we can make. The Terrasteel chestplate is definitely better than the netherite chestplate, but the amount of work required to get it, I don't think is warranted right now. We might have to invest in something like the Terrasteel chestplate in order to beat all of the bosses from the Twilight Forest, but for the time being, I think we should be more than capable of defeating the End Dragon with just the netherite armor that we currently have, and I do think it's definitely going to be more beneficial to us to have the jetpack in the End Dragon fight versus having a netherite chestplate. So real quick, let's go ahead and dump a lot of the stuff here that we don't need to be carrying around with us. We will use these arrows of harming with instant damage 2 to hopefully make this End Dragon fight just a little bit easier. We'll also, of course, go ahead and craft up a bow. And because we are playing on the Patreon server, I am almost certain that we're going to have to resummon the End Dragon. So we're probably going to have to invest in 4 End Crystals, which means we're going to need 7 glass, 1 Eye of Ender, and 1 gas tier per End Crystal. Thankfully, we can make gas tiers using these catalyzing glands, and thanks to the Cursed Earth mob farm that we set up in a previous stream, we do have quite a few of those catalyzing glands ready to go. And so if we craft down 4 gas tiers, we can then also craft down 4 Eyes of Ender, and at that point we should have everything we need to get 4 End Crystals. The bow is ready, the arrows are ready. I think I will get a few more arrows just in case those 64 are not enough. And then worst case scenario, we also have our diamond sword for some added damage. But without further ado, let's head on through and see if we can't defeat this End Dragon here. Right out of the gate, I'm noticing a few things. Someone's actually left extra End Crystals here, which is incredibly thoughtful of them, especially because by default the dragon is normally here, so somebody has gone through the effort of making a bunch of extra End Crystals for other people on the server. Also, I noticed that the sky is real bright. I'm going to turn my jetpack on to get away from these Endermen here, but there's like a custom skybox that's been added to the end here, which is very nice indeed. But if we fly on over here, let's see if we can't resummon this End Dragon. So if we do something like this, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. I'm going to turn this down because this guy is always super loud. I do wonder what this looks like without night vision on, because it does seem very bright at the moment. Oh, it looks quite a bit different without the night vision on. I do think it looks a lot better without the night vision on. It looks a lot less, it's less bright for sure, but I think it definitely looks cooler with the night vision off. So I really don't think that this should be too difficult of a fight, so long as I don't get myself blown up by one of these end crystals, specifically one of the end crystals in the cages here, which I might do accidentally. Let's try and break this without triggering it, and then we'll just do a shot from above like this. Perfect. We did take a bit of damage there. We do, of course, have our jetpack continually feeding us, and so even if we do take a little bit of damage from the dragon, we should be able to regenerate it fairly quickly, and so long as we're not taking any sustained damage, we should be good to go. So really, it's just these these crystals here that are going to be the tipping point. If we can get rid of all of these, perfect, then the dragon really shouldn't be too difficult. And there we go, the end dragon is dead. I did end up putting my regular arrows away into my backpack to make sure that we used the instant damage 2 arrows instead, but nevertheless, we do now have a dragon egg, and so if we pop back through the end portal here, skipping the cutscene, we should now have everything that we need in order to open a portal to the Twilight Forest. We've completed this quest here, we've completed all of the quests up to the end portal frame here. Let's quickly go ahead and claim all of our rewards, and we can dump some of this stuff into the system. And now next time, what we're going to do, we'll come back, and at the start of the next episode, we will set up a portal to the Twilight Forest, which is going to be super easy for us to do. It's quite simply a 2x2 pool of water surrounded by flowers, which the quest has just given us, and then we throw the dragon egg into that pond of water. That's going to open a portal to the Twilight Forest, and then we need to work our way through a bunch of boss fights to allow us to get to the Lamp of Cinders. I do think before we go through to the Twilight Forest, I am going to spend a little bit of time investing in some better armor, whether that comes in the form of actual better armor, like the Terrasteel armor, or just trying to upgrade this with enchantments and whatnot to make it even more powerful than it currently is. I'm not quite sure which way we're going to go on that yet, but we'll work on getting better armor. We'll head on through to the Twilight Forest. We'll try and beat as many bosses as we can, and then after that, we can start working on some of these creative challenge quests in this challenges quest line right at the end of the quest book. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and ramp up today's stream there.